Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And you.
And welcome to the first installment of Season 14, So You Want to Be an Imagineer, Inside Baseball show entitled PM Gate 2, Electric Boogaloo. Oh yeah. Guys, I'm going to give you a prize. I'm going to give you a trophy. This was by far the biggest, the most creative, and the most eventful first round of So You Want to Be an Imagineer season we've ever seen. Hands down.
Absolutely.
Hands down, easily. Like, it's no contest. This is it.
Something new happened every day.
It's crazy. So we're going to get into that. We're going to get into how we feel about the game going forward. And we're also going to talk about some highlights from... We're going to highlight individual players, and we're also going to highlight some individual portions of the project. Garrett, I feel like you and I gave very good, kind of thorough feedback on our written reviews. So for that reason, I don't want to really take the time to go through like each project individually.
Yeah, we don't.
What we decided to do is we decided to go through 3 highlights from each of the team's projects,
as
well as highlight 3 players from each of the teams. So
absolutely.
Okay.
Oh, excuse me. It was just a solid round in general. I mean, again, like I know the whole dynamic this season, we don't want people to focus on strategy and drama and other things like that. I mean, of course, that's what we ultimately got, but it was just a good round. Like in general, like the projects were good, the teamwork was good, and I'm impressed.
Well, let's talk about the guy that was at the forefront of all the action here. Let's talk about Cranium Command, because I feel like that's what everyone tuning into this podcast like is probably 90%
probably wants to hear.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And it's probably like behind the scenes, people are probably like, oh my God, how are Tiki and Mew even going to deal with this? We're going to deal with this with hype, because I think that Cranium Command has gone through perhaps the greatest single project character arc in the history of the game, from being someone who was, let's just say a little rough around the edges, He was trying to do the strategy thing, and he didn't quite grasp the fact that, Garrett, you and I really don't want strategy involved in the season, and we kind of had to put an end to it.
Yeah.
And then it got to a point where his team rallied behind him in the days following this project, and now I think he's on a trajectory, and Mew and I have some high-stakes stuff set up in how well we really think this kid might do. And Garrett, I've got to say, after that initial bump and after that initial like arc of him going from someone who was really hard to work with into someone who might be an anchor of their whole team if he really does, take the criticism that people have given him, apply it in a really positive way, and move forward with it. I think this kid's got a chance, man. It's crazy. It's crazy to think about.
I agree. I think the potential's there. Don't get me wrong. Round 1 was definitely a roller coaster. Hence the name PM Gate 2 Electric Boogaloo.
And I don't really want to get too much into the detail of the strategy and the alliances and all that.
That's personal. That's
exactly. And people who know what happened know what happened. People who don't know what happened, you're probably better off not knowing the gritty details of it. So
the important thing is everyone survived.
Exactly. We not only did everyone survive, but we also got a new person in the mix in M. Harrington. For the first 22-person cast. Of course, we did lose Natotech, who's gone as our 22nd place finisher, who just didn't show up. And Garrett, this literally happens every season, right?
Oh, yeah. Usually there's more.
Yeah, exactly.
But surprisingly, all but one were active in the entire... You know what I mean? Like, this is just unheard of. Like, it's awesome.
It's crazy, Garrett. I think this is going to be an insane season. I think for the best and most natural and most like, it's going to be dramatic. Like, I'm going to tell you guys that right now. It's going to be dramatic, but only because Garrett and I, we've just put our heads together and because we've kind of ridden ourselves into this position of, since we don't want there to be strategy, we've ridden ourselves into this position of deciding the eliminations, right?
Yes.
Garrett, we're going to have some like Sophie's choices on our hands as we move forward here, man. It's going to be brutal.
Tiki's choice.
I can't emphasize enough how I am just like, I'm excited about it, but I am also like incredibly nervous about it because literally pretty much every single person left in this cast has some sort of potential, has some sort of spark to them.
Everyone has just as much a chance to win as the person next to them.
And ManEatingWreath, just as a teaser, we're actually going to announce the 3 nominees because, you know, we have to announce the nominees and give them a bit of a warning to fire it up a little bit, you know. And I hate doing it. I genuinely hate doing it because everyone is doing something. Everyone is contributing. So
that's the issue. It's everyone's a power player.
This is rough. But we're going to get through it, man.
We'll get to that later. We'll get to that later. But we should talk about that high stakes thing you had mentioned.
Yes, the high stakes, Garrett. What is it?
Do you want to explain your end and I'll explain my end?
I can explain my end, yes.
Go on ahead.
So I essentially think that Cranium Command is on traction to be a beloved fan favorite by the end of the season. We already saw his in reference to people like D Squared, in reference to people like Jay Phelps, people throughout the game who have historically had a rough start, but then gone on to come close to winning, and then people have been upset that they haven't won. We saw that play out in spades with D Squared, where arguably Michael was definitely the bigger strategic player, and since season 13 did rely a lot more on strategy, Michael came out ahead. Whereas there were definitely an active minority of people who totally thought that D Squared should have won, even though in the early rounds of the games, and especially going back to D Squared's arc through the Soul Imagineer 2, where he was essentially trying a lot of the same strategy type stuff that Cranium was doing in the first couple days of this game. I really feel like Cranium is on a trajectory to make a D Squared type arc, and really, if he puts his mind to it, and if he really, you know, like, because everyone wants him here, you know what I mean? That's the thing. It's like everyone sees his potential, everyone sees that he's dedicated, and he really wants to prove himself. And
which I would like to apologize for kind of jumping the gun and eliminating you.
Too. Let's address that too, please, by all means.
It was just, you know,
tensions were high. It was mostly on you, so I'll let you do the explaining.
Lucy, you got some explaining to do.
Don't start with me, man.
I know. Anyhow, no, I just felt like I was in a position where, you know, we worked hard to create a good season. And I was personally, you know, I was playing Dungeons and Dragons actually, and I was like, no,
you weren't just like imagining playing Dungeons and Dragons with these players. You were like literally like
I was literally
in a game Dungeons and Dragons.
Exactly. Yes, I was at someone's house playing Dungeons and Dragons.
I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you. No, I was concerned. I couldn't focus. I was like, you know, we've worked really hard. I don't want to lose this. I don't want to lose people. I don't want to lose people because of this guy. I mean, of course, I wasn't well-versed enough knowing we weren't going to lose people because of this guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of was just like, you know what, it's done. And I was like, goodbye. And then he did the unthinkable. He said, no, I'm staying. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, well, you know, one more chance. But, oh, man, what have I done?
But then the moment that truly solidified this whole arc for me is when the people that were the most actively frustrated with him, and Garrett, I feel like this is just a good transition to going into Team Cap's dynamic as a whole, because it is like the 3 people we wanted to highlight from Team Cap anyways. So yeah, this moment was like truly one of the most out of left field and really kind of genuinely inspirational moments in the history of the game for me being a host is just us as judges kind of not really knowing the full context. Like we just got done with you know, of Cranium actually coming through and actually pulling through a really good Tower of Terror project and solidifying Team Cap's first place position. So we were high on Cranium. It's just, frankly, we just were not in the mood to argue with him regarding the prompt, and I think you and
Uh-huh.
I both got a little hasty there. Like, I
Yeah.
did make a comment, I regret it as well. I was just like, if you don't like it, just drop out. And Cranium, if you're listening, I apologize for that comment as well. That was a little out of line on my end.
Yeah.
And so honestly, I can kind of see where he's coming from, and where like we might have been a little bit more combative than we needed to be. And but the moment that really sticks out to me, Mew, is Space and Brer Oswald particularly coming to Cranium's defense and wanting him to stay. And I'm like,
Absolutely.
okay, like that's it, Cranium. Like, you're in for the long haul, man. You're, like, we're not gonna like put you on the timeout corner anymore. We're not going to be like looking out. I think at this point, Cranium is just a 100% legit part of this cast. We're not aiming to like exclude him or anything like that, or even like keep a high alert on him or anything. He's unconventional as hell, and he's one of the most interesting characters that's ever played the game.
Absolutely.
Having said that, we've only seen one round of him, so I'm incredibly intrigued by this, Garrett. I'm incredibly intrigued.
I agree. I can't wait to see what else comes from this guy. I mean, all the contestants in general, but from this guy in particular, Cranium in particular, I'm excited to see where he goes from here. Like, like you say, he's unconventional. It's like, you never know. It's ultimately, he's a wild card.
So let's set up the high stakes. And then we can kind of loop back around to talk about Team Cap a little.
For sure.
But Garrett, would you like to reveal? Okay, let me just say the definition of a fan favorite for me would be a character who makes it at least to the semifinals. So in order for this bet to be valid, Cranium's going to have to at least make it to the semifinals round, which honestly, as good as he's going, just judging by the competition, it might be tough for him, so we'll see. I'm crossing my fingers that he gets there, of course, because I have some rooted interest in this, but so essentially what it's going to be is if Cranium makes it at least to the semifinals, and he can even make it as far as the last project, but not win. That's the caveat here. He can't win. But if he becomes a fan favorite and people are visually upset that he didn't win, and people are like kind of calling for him, like, that's my criteria. If at least one person besides Cranium himself, if he makes it to the semifinals, is upset that he doesn't win, and like I said, Cranium totally could win, and if he wins, this bet is off the table, but I'm rooting for that as well. That would be fantastic. But just for the criteria of this bet, if Cranium makes it to the semifinals, doesn't win, and at least one person other than Cranium is upset about the fact that he didn't win, Garrett, you owe me a pin.
Yes, sir.
And if that doesn't happen, if Cranium gets eliminated before the semifinals, I owe you a pin.
Yes, sir. And now we do something that has never been done before on this channel. A reveal of pins.
Oh, boy.
Dun, 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 dun.
Oh.
Boom, 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 boom.
Okay, so I've got to handpick one out of here. Okay, just
okay.
Keep it as still as you can.
This is hard. It's big.
I know.
Okay. That's top right corner.
Ooh, I like that big bad wolf right on its side.
One of my favorites.
Okay.
Pretty pixie. You want that one, right?
Hell no. I like the. Oh, Huey, Dewey, and oh, fuck me. That's tough. That's tough now, because obviously I do have the one. Yeah, the Small World Holiday one is definitely the one I have my eye on the most. That's between Huey, Dewey, and Louie and Small World Holiday for me. But
fun
fact, the Mickey Mouse one I actually gave you. Thank you very much. And the Iron Man one.
Yes, sir. Fun fact about the Huey, Dewey, and Louie one. Yes. My mom actually used to work at Paradise Pier Hotel back in, whatchamacallit? What was it, 2001, 2002?
Sure.
And somehow she had that. She got that and kept it after all these years. So it's old.
Vintage.
It's super old. I don't mind parting ways with it. It's just super old. It's cool. But again, the Small World one, the Small World holiday has personal significance because that's what you, Rob, and I rode.
Yes, and also
It would also match.
Here, Garrett, let me show off the pins that you're not getting, okay?
Oh,
let me
okay.
show off the pins that you're not getting. These are the ones that are just completely off the table.
All right, let's see.
All right, the box of Blair, Garrett. You hold on, let me block my screen. You're not getting any of this shit. Any of this.
That's fine.
Forget it. None of this.
Oh, wait. Did you see the Alice that I had?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
You're not getting any of these.
Oh my God, I didn't see that part.
You're not getting any of these. You're not getting any of these. You're not getting any of my Blair collection.
Fair enough.
And for that reason, because I need to figure out a way to get the Small World holiday pin onto this box of Blair somehow, and I'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go with the Small World holiday pin, as much as it pains me to pass over DuckTales.
All right.
Okay, and I apologize for the mess in my closet. I'll just move my camera over.
I didn't even notice.
Good. All right, Garrett. Now here's your selection. It's a little less robust than my selection from your pins, but let me see. So we got the Plain Crazy up there. We've got a whole bunch of Walt pins. Maleficent. I know you're a big fan of the Haunted Mansion set.
Wait, which one? Where's the Haunted Mansion?
We've got Madame Leota. We've got
we've
got some Walt Disney Family Museum exclusive pins. We got Walt Disney Family Museum. We've got Walt with his train. Ink and Paint Club. Song of the South. Song of the South is a good one.
I do like that Song of the South one.
Yes.
I have a Vulture pin from Splash Mountain. That's about it.
Museum exclusive.
Yeah, Song of the South.
Song of the South. Okay.
That's my choice.
Let me take it off. And then present it to you. Can you do the same thing with mine? Can you
Yeah, I'm pulling it up right now.
Yeah.
I apologize if you guys heard that. My brother's learning how to operate a boom mic in the other
room. I can't hear a thing. It's all
okay, cool. All right. In Cranium, in no way is this bet meant to be offensive.
No, this bet is literally you and I hedging our bets about we're really excited to see how Cranium does. And this bet is making it clear that we have high stakes involved in how rooted and invested we are to see how well Cranium does.
Yeah. Oh, see, this would go perfect in your collection.
Oh yeah, hell yeah, it would.
And that's what it also moves.
Okay, and then so that is what at stake for me if Cranium makes it to the semifinals, doesn't win, and someone's visually upset that he hasn't won. And then for Garrett, if Cranium doesn't make the semifinals, or even if he wins, I'll give this to you if he wins.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. See, I love Brett Fox.
Yep.
That's perfect. And it would go well with my Big Bad Wolf pin.
That it would, sir.
But what you didn't know is the Big Bad Wolf pin is cast member exclusive.
But I saw it I saw a set though, so it's there's a Gaston too, right?
Yeah, it's a set. It's called Be on the Lookout. It's wanted posters for the villain.
So that's the thing. That's kind of the thing that distracted me from the Big Bad Wolf pin was that there's others in the set, and I'm I don't just want one from the set.
But I will give you this: the Small World Holiday one is limited edition, and only for 2015. And then I also have a 2015 Haunted Mansion Holiday.
And pretty much everything, all the pins, the 9 pins that are kind of the background in the box of Blair are all limited edition sets of 300 apiece.
Woo!
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah. Don't part ways with them. Part ways with them.
Never. I will never even wear them, Garrett. They are a part of the box of Blair now.
Well, no, that's priceless. All right.
Okay, really quick, guys. We have to get back on track.
Yeah, I want to go put my pin board back, but if you want to start talking.
Sure. I'll just highlight Team Cap, 2 people in particular. Space, I mean, as always, Space was just a very rock solid contributor, and kind of dealt through some of the madness that was going on. Also, I give a lot of props to Red. I mean, check out these logos. This is a fantastic way to start the project. I posted all these logos to the Facebook page, which you guys should totally check out. I'll actually maybe have a link there in the hub thread. Check that out because I will be posting concept art and whatnot on the Facebook page.
Like, subscribe, follow.
We're getting to that point, Garrett. Yeah, so Space and Red definitely came through with the, with the technical side of things, and I'm sure with some of the creative stuff too, especially with the with cartoons and serials. So let's just go through team by team, I guess.
Yeah.
Talk about the projects just to make it like so we're not jumping around.
This website is amazing.
This is great. This is probably one of my favorite
presentations.
Garrett, if I had to make like another like top 10 projects of all time, this might be in there.
I'm going to give it the entire season just to see what they come up with, but this easily could be in my favorite slot.
There's certain things that I like a little bit better than others. We're going to highlight 3 things in particular. The Space Jam thing, I think, is probably the weakest element of the project. It could have been really good if they would have had. Well, I think it could have been really good if it was more like Midway Mania style and less just like, I see what you're saying. Sit in a room and play VR.
I see what you're saying.
I want it like if they would have done it Midway Mania style, I think it would have been fantastic. The Peanuts area is really nice. It's really humble. There's not really a ton to talk about with it though, so we'll skip over that. Courage the Cowardly Dog. I actually really want to share this to John Dilworth's Facebook page and see if I can get a response from him about it. Even if it's just like one word, or even if it's him being like sarcastic, like, what the heck? You guys don't know anything about courage. Bruh. Anything. I want him to comment on it. Because
it's worth a shot.
Because John Dilworth has actually been on the podcast before, so.
Yes, which I listened to. It was off topic, but the Courage the Cowardly Dog attraction was great.
And then finally, Brer Oswald came through with a really good contribution with Epic Mickey Blot Wars. Honestly, the reason why we're not going to cover that is just because it's very intricate. There's a lot of detail to it. But I mean, I thought it captured Epic Mickey perfectly. Like, I haven't played Epic Mickey. All I know of Epic Mickey is mostly from like the hype pre-game, like the concept art and all that, and like the
it's gritty.
Vibe. But all right, but let's get into the 3 main contributions. I'll kind of go like from the top. Let's talk about Car Kids. Okay,
a bold concept.
Very, very bold, incredibly bold.
Drastic departure. I personally, I'm not familiar with the subject matter.
I'm not familiar with the comic book, but I am familiar with the album.
That's the whole thing. It was made accessible to everyone. Like, and that's, to me, that's what the best Imagineering projects are. When it's something, it could alienate certain people, but somehow or another, you don't have to see anything or read anything to know what it's about.
I mean, if I were going to go like based on a pure realism standpoint of like what cartoon band would make the most sense to have an e-ticket like this, it's got to be Gorillaz, right?
Yeah. Like,
Gorillaz would probably be far and away the thing that would be most actually likely to get a treatment like this. But this is a bold choice, like we said, and I appreciate it. I also very much appreciate Garrett. I actually kind of I don't know if you remember this, but I posted like maybe like a week before this project was announced. I posted, or maybe a week before Space got this concept, I randomly posted because I was listening to Coldplay and I was like, oh my God, Charlie Brown is such a good song. It's like the last great song on the Coldplay discography.
I think you had posted that.
Yeah, I know I did. And I love Charlie Brown. It's a masterpiece of a song. It truly is. I mean, Charlie Brown is amazing. And so it's not lost on me that Charlie Brown and this is like connected to each other. I really appreciate that. I mean, I got to be honest with you. Some of the backstory is just, like I said, it's like I wasn't even really aware that the album was a concept album or a rock opera or anything like that. I just thought it was just a nice sounding Coldplay album. But at the very least, I was able to get into the actual, like, I know what the songs are, so like Hurts Like Heaven and Paradise and all that, like, and so it all blends together really well. The art isn't like the biggest standout art we've ever seen from space. It's not the most detailed. Having said that, I do think it complements the attraction very well. It actually goes incredibly well with the style of the album and the album artwork and everything like that, actually. So I give it props for that.
Yeah, I just enjoyed it. Like, I don't really have like in-depth thoughts on it, to be honest. It was just something I enjoyed and something that I felt stood out.
And I think the placement of it is also very good.
Yes.
Where it adds a kinetic energy to the downtown section. Also with the Peanuts connection as well. It all flows together super well. And yeah, like, this is definitely one of the things that, for me, brought the project to a 10 out of 10 for creativity.
Absolutely. I believe I get it 9 out of 10, but I did do 10 out of 10 for the presentation.
Yeah.
Just because everything was presented so nicely. It was just clean. It was interactive. It was just good.
Okay, let's get to Cranium's contribution, which is the Animaniacs Tower of No Terror.
Perfect name.
Yeah, and Mew, I'm sure you were pleased by this because you really wanted the Animaniacs thing to happen. And it did happen in season 9, but that's one of those projects where other things were happening that really kind of put a damper on it. But ironically enough, in spite of Cranium kind of being the guy who was kind of leading the charge on some of that style of stuff, he came through, man. I mean, I think Cranium is the anti-Star Wars geek in terms of, like, Cranium did cause a commotion in the first few rounds of the game. No one's denying that, including himself. But he quietly snuck back in, and he took people's constructive criticism about the way he was doing it, applied it, and genuinely came out with an anchor attraction that, while maybe not the absolute highlight of the whole thing, I think the absolute highlight is probably The Last Breakfast, just because of how freaking unconventional that one is. We'll get to that in a second. But this is easily like a very solid anchor attraction for the whole land.
Oh yeah, it's just a strong It's a strong project. It did remind me slightly of the Toon Tower Hotel. Just a little bit, not entirely, but just a little bit. But it was good all its own.
Well, I think that if you would have gone what was his original idea for it?
I think it was a Roger Rabbit.
Yeah, that's it. His original idea was to do a Roger Rabbit Tower of Terror. If you would have done that, that would have been too close to Toontown Tower Hotel.
Same exact thing almost.
Yeah. And so I'm like, props to him for realizing that. Props to Brer Oswald for, kind of addressing that and saying, like, look, we might need to switch this around. That was like a great instance of teamwork right there, right?
Absolutely.
How after some of the stuff that had gone down on that team, Brer Oswald was able to point this very practical thing out that definitely would have lowered their creativity goal. It definitely would have lowered their creativity.
Yeah.
And then Cranium was able to implement it. He was able to take it. He was able to implement it. And in a staggeringly short amount of time that he actually had, he came out with this, and it was good. It was really good. So I was really impressed with that effort.
Agreed.
Okay, so let's get into it.
Agreed. Let's see.
I like the atmosphere. You know what I mean? I think the Warner Tower itself would make for a fantastic sort of weenie into this land or into this area of the park,
especially because it was in the center.
Sure.
I love the use of Pinky and the Brain.
Of course. Pinky and the Brain's always
always a plus
addition. Yes.
What are we going to do tonight, Brain?
And
the same thing we do every night.
This is kind of like a Roger Rabbit Tower to a certain extent because
it has that whole sequence and the characters.
You do incorporate a lot of Roger Rabbit stuff, but it works well with Animaniacs, though. They have that whole, like, instead of hello nurse, it's hello Jessica. I'm just like, damn it, that fits perfectly. It's like chocolate and peanut butter.
The only thing missing was the good idea, bad idea safety video.
Oh my god. Oh, you and I should write that.
Good idea. Keeping your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside.
Oh my god.
Bad idea. Standing up during the ride.
Yes, it writes itself. It writes itself. Oh my god.
I only say this because that was my portion of the Animaniacs attraction in season 9.
It's funny. Good idea, bad idea was always like for me as a kid, my favorite segment in all of Animaniacs. I just got such a chuckle out of it.
Because it's ridiculous. Good idea. Walking through the park. Bad idea. Getting hit by a torpedo in the park. What?
And I also think the humor in that segment in particular is a little bit more like adult and sardonic than some of the other Animaniacs stuff.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Anyway,
this contribution in particular makes me wish that Animaniacs were part of the season 8 Toontown.
The season what?
The season 8 Toontown.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like going back in time, you know what I mean? Going back in town, but back in time. But you know, it is what it is.
Yeah. So I really love this whole the Bugs Bunny connection, and again, if you like, just when you factor in the history of Yakko, Warner, and Dot, Yakko, Wacko, and Dot, I should say, it actually makes perfect sense that it would end on a note like this. Because going back to I actually looked up like the very first episode of Animaniacs last night to kind of prepare for this. And it makes perfect sense, like, because Animaniacs were characters that were created by Warner Brothers, but then they were too rambunctious and too off the wall, and they locked them in the water tower. And essentially, like, it was like a rule on the studio to just not acknowledge their existence. And so with Bugs Bunny being the main star, I could see Bugs Bunny being very sympathetic to the Warner Brothers and their plight.
Yeah.
So yeah, it all works really well.
I love it. Wait.
Okay.
I like that drawing too. Now that I think about it.
Who Dined Roger Rabbit? I don't have much to say about it, but it's solid. It's solid.
It's a project. It's a solid project.
Yeah.
All right. So next, we're gonna go to the most unconventional thing ever.
Pretty much, right?
The Last Breakfast. When the state of cereal as we know it is under attack by Dr. Honeycomb and his plot to change all cereal into honey, the Breakfastables need to band together to save the day. First of all, the fact that Honeycomb is the villain.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect.
The freakiest, ugliest.
Yeah. That was a stroke of genius right there. I think that one thing just made the whole project come together.
Exactly. It's such a weird project.
I mean, these images just sell it though, right?
Oh yeah.
It's like these are all such like distinct personalities, over the top characters. It honestly makes me want to see a movie based on all these characters.
A cinematic universe.
Yes. Oh my god. Like, could you imagine like a Captain Crunch movie, a Count Chocula movie? And they'd all be like different genres. Like Count Chocula would be like a horror movie. Captain Crunch would be like a pirate movie. Tony the Tiger would be like, a sports movie or something. Lucky the Leprechaun would be some sort of like magical quest movie.
Oh my god.
And then of course the Cocoa Puffs bird would just be like the sad like drug addiction, like hard drama.
Straight out of Cocoa Puffton.
Oh god. I was thinking more like Requiem for a Puff. and then yeah, the Breakfastables too. It works super well. It's just, oh my god.
Have you seen this thing? If you have, report to the scene.
Just the flow of the project in general, like how it's like this project is not taking itself seriously.
No.
Which is great, which is wonderful.
It either isn't taking itself seriously or it takes itself too seriously.
Great ride vehicles, very simplistic design. Love it.
The River of Milk, of course.
Yes. And just, it's like I love how self-contained this whole thing is, and I love how you go to each of the environments, and like we don't have time to go through like scene by scene and talk through it, but it's just all
good.
so good.
It's good.
It's all so creative.
This is one of my favorites. I have to say, if I separated it from the rest of the project, it would be in my favorites. But if the rest of the project ends up being in my favorites, it'll be grouped with that. Excuse me. Anyways, so now we move on to Team Mist.
Team Mist. Although technically, I think Team Younger posted first, and we'll have to go back.
Yes, they did. Well, we'll have to go back. Okay, Team Younger.
Yeah, let's go back to that.
So Team Younger is the decided wild card team.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
They nothing really. Team Cap was the source of the electric Boogaloo, but
and
Team
they
Younger,
still managed to pull together like by far the strongest project.
Exactly, and it's like with Team Younger, the map is great. First of all.
Oh yeah. Props to MC Paradox for that.
To me, the map and the presentation were a real strong point of the project. Now, in regards to the project itself, it had its pros and its cons.
I mean, I appreciate them going with the realism of like making it into Hollywood studios, but Garrett,
I actually did like that part.
Yeah, but it's kind of like a catch-22 for me actually, because we specifically said to have it be blue sky, as blue sky as we can.
That's true. That's true.
Having said that, it does make logical sense. I think out of all three of the projects, this by far had the most logical like explanation for how all these characters are in the park at the same time.
The backstory and the introduction were the best part. They connected it all together. It was seamless. It just made for a strong introduction. Sure. That being said, my personal favorite part was Dr. Doofenshmirtz's cartoon crossover.
That was a lot of fun. We'll get into some of the highlights of that. It's all very practical. That's what I kept saying about like this is a very realistic project.
Yes.
By far, I think probably the main issue with it that both you and I have is
detail.
Well, detail is one thing, yes, but I also think there's like a ridiculous abundance of restaurants.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. And maybe that's because of its location where they're replacing what they're replacing.
I mean, I guess, but it's just like it's too many, man.
But no, I completely understand.
It's way too many. It's
like they don't need to have Bob's Burgers and Krusty Krab.
That's what I'm saying, and I understand that they have Bob's Burgers and the Krusty Krab like is like kind of like a double unit like counter service type thing. And that makes sense, but it's I don't know, it's like
you don't need both.
Yeah, like the Primetime Cafe works well. Oswald's Lucky Lounge works well. Steamboat Willie works well. I don't necessarily think you need the House of Mouse, especially because at this point, Garrett, frankly, I'm getting kind of sick of the House of Mouse concept in these games.
It does pop up a lot, doesn't it?
It's getting pretty overdone, and I just don't think you need it. I think it's just kind of an obvious like go-to.
Yeah.
I did like the Jellystone food truck though.
Yeah, that was a cool concept. But again, I had an issue with the realism department when supposedly Universal doesn't own Hanna-Barbera anymore, which I apologize for that. But there's Simpsons references and SpongeBob references, and Hollywood Studios is just a short distance from where those characters are.
Right.
And I mean, I understand like that could have been confusion in the rules. Like we gave unlimited use of any IP, but because it's rooted in Florida. In Orlando,
that's kind of the issue, right? That's kind of the catch-22 is that they
exactly
like it's a fantastic backstory, but at the same time, it opens themselves up in a way to be scrutinized for realism in a way that the other teams just can't be.
Exactly, which is like why Cereals and Breakfast and Cartoon Planet works in a different aspect because it's not set anywhere in the real world.
Sure. And folks, I think this is very valuable kind of information we're giving out here about how we're grading and whatnot. So I hope these people are taking notes.
Like the current prompt, for instance, the Carnival prompt, that doesn't need to be set anywhere.
Exactly.
But the next prompt, however, we're full on telling you where it needs to be set.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like,
we're giving you like the park and the information and everything. Yeah.
I'd say when we give you a location, use it. If we don't give you a location, you don't have to use one, and I recommend not using one.
And I don't want to say like they full on can't use location, because I definitely think it's a good tool to have, at least for the brainstorming process, to keep everyone on the same page. And is what I'm seeing being done with the Carnival project too, is that's kind of a strategy that people are kind of playing with, is kind of setting it within real world contexts. And we're just here to be the judge, and like we said, this is just kind of our thought process to it. Let me see. Mio, I'm just trying to kind of like, I know we're limited on time here.
It's got about 19 minutes. We're good.
Yeah, let me see. So for the players I want to highlight on this team, I definitely think Magic Feather was a very solid team leader. I think I think she has a lot of potential. I think she'll probably easily make the merge at the very least. Pie on my cake, man.
Oh my gosh. That's another, like we were saying earlier, every contestant this season has the potential.
Pie on my cake is someone that I want to be around on these boards for a long time, because I think he's going to be very valuable. Like, just as a contributor to the community, just as a very nice person, as someone who's easy to get along with and easy to work with, and as someone who's incredibly talented when it comes to the actual conceptualization of what he does. And I've been kind of speaking with Pie on my cake in regards to his videos that he's doing for his one sentence competition. So I've kind of got to know him a little bit through that. So I'm very invested in Pie on my cake this season.
I agree. I am also invested. Great. By the way, an exceptional team leader.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was he the team leader?
Yes.
Okay, my bad.
I believe I had mentioned it in my review, actually, that he was an exceptional team leader. But yeah, that's a good example of a team leader right there. So again, Team Younger had a great teamwork aspect, by the way.
And then I also want to highlight on Team Younger another kid who I really think has the potential. Like, he's got that fan favorite spark to him,
Stephen Yu?
Yeah, Stephen Yu. Like Stephen Yu, I feel like he's still getting a grasp for the game. He's still getting a grasp for the teamwork element. But gosh darn it, is he trying, and he's trying really hard. And I don't know. It's like, like me and you and Adventure Blue Dude, we all have this, this PM set up between the three of us. And it's like, we just can't help but just be like, in awe of how endearing Stephen Yu is, just as a character and a player. Like, whereas, I don't know, it's like he very well might not make the merge, because he is struggling and he is kind of like still trying to find his footing, and there's a lot of heavy competition out there, so he might not go the distance. Like, I feel like Cranium actually has a lot more upswing to actually like go the distance this season. But Stephen Yu is just someone who is just like really endearing. And I think if I was working on a team with him, I'd want to like actively like work with him and support him and hone some of his skills, and like make the best use of his talent as we can, because he's definitely like got a lot out there, man.
This like really goes back to the whole how nominations are difficult this season.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, like we said, usually we leave it up to the team leader, but to avoid strategy and drama, we're in charge of it this season.
Yeah, I'm sorry, folks. It's like, it's hard. I don't want to like get back into that, of course, but we can't have people like nominating people like Space or Pie on My Cake or Jokers just because they did the most amount of work. I mean, that's not the game we're wanting to run. So.
Exactly. So it's just a matter of I'd like to see him go far as well. But it's like you were saying, it's anyone's game.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
But in regards to the project itself, what else? I know we talked we touched briefly on the cartoon crossover.
Yeah, crossover was really good. I especially like how they had different like styles of characters that came out at different points to randomize.
I like that it was the replacement for Star Tours.
Yeah, I felt that it was a very natural progression of the Star Tours 2.0 technology. Okay, and I'm trying to just kind of breeze through this. Rocky and Bullwinkle was a solid addition.
Yes, absolutely.
I was a little bit confused about the Internet Alley stuff.
It's just there wasn't enough to it. It
Yeah.
it has the potential, like for instance, there's a bunch of characters that could have been touched on with that, like salad
Yeah.
fingers, llamas with hats. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's not really Disney appropriate, but again, that constricts to the whole real world aspect.
I think my favorite attraction in this whole thing is Ludwig von Drake
Yes,
Laboratory.
yes, absolutely. That would be my favorite after cartoon crossover.
What I love about the Ludwig von Drake Laboratory is, as I said in my review, it feels like a callback and an homage to classic like 1960s Tomorrowland and like
Mm-hmm.
1980s Epcot, but it's not like directly lifting one thing. It's like a good combination of like all the, all the ideologies of that sort of era, and also with an awesome character and a kick-ass character that we love. So,
Exactly.
and
Yep.
folks, I'm sorry, I just like we're running really low on time, so I'm just gonna bypass like going through the attractions like individually. We're just kind of
Boom, 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 boom,
we're just gonna kind of pull from
bam.
memory here, but uh honestly, the thing that was disappointing in this project is Garrett. I think you and I need to stop trying to make Haunted Mansion Toontown happen.
Yeah, it didn't really happen.
I mean, as I said in my review, it's a solid Mickey Mouse dark ride. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, that's what I agree. It wasn't the Haunted Mansion.
Like if they put this in Mickey's Toontown and had it be like sure, you can have like a slight Haunted Mansion type vibe to it, but it would still stand on its own as a Mickey ride, and there's really not a ton of Haunted Mansion elements to it at all. It's just sort of like the expected tropes of Mickey Mouse that we'd see from from a creepy side, like the skeleton dance, the Mad Doctor, the lonesome ghosts, and
Yes.
that's all pretty vanilla.
Yeah, there's so much more that can be done with it.
Yeah, so I hate to be harsh on it, but honestly, I think that might have been one of the elements that really lost the project for Team Younger, because the other two projects just really nailed their respective anchor attractions.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like I said, folks, I think this will probably be the last time for a while we'll try and make a Haunted Mansion Toontown happen, because it just apparently there's just something that inherently about like the ride system of Tower of Terror that
It just
inherently
works better.
and I guess that's true, right? Because I mean we're seeing it firsthand. We're seeing the Hollywood Tower Hotel be transformed into the Guardians of the Galaxy,
Yeah,
and using virtually the same ride system. So I guess in that
exactly.
respect, like through real life practical Imagineering, yeah, it does make sense that Tower of Terror is more malleable to themes than the Haunted
Mm-hmm.
Mansion is.
It would work well with Indiana Jones, even Tower of Terror.
It would.
Anyways, that's for another day.
That's absurd, but yes, it would.
It really would. Like, imagine like. Anyways, whatever. We'll talk later.
Yeah.
Okay, so next we have, last but not least, anything else on Team Younger you want to cover?
I don't think so. I think we've talked through most of it.
Again, it's the wild card team, but they have just as much potential as every other contestant this season.
Yeah, I like the shops.
Yes. Yeah. And of course, the presentation and the map were really strong. So lastly, we turn our attention to Team Mist.
There we go. There we go.
Trevor's in the Mist.
Trevor A. I am so happy to see Trevor back in
I am too. We were chatting. He's hysterical. Just okay. First of all, I want to point out the presentation wasn't anything like eye catching, but if you look, there's the most subtle detail that really won it over for me.
Okay.
Starring all asterisk your favorite cartoon characters, and then at the very end it says unless your favorite characters you're born before 1985, in that case you will be sorely disappointed.
Nice. I didn't even catch that.
See, that was the first thing that I caught. I was like, why is there an asterisk right there? And then I go, oh. And that's what won it over for me. I was like,
right.
you know what? That Trevor A brand of humor. In case you guys didn't know, Walt's fault affected them
Mm-hmm.
so they couldn't use characters created before 1985, with the exception of DuckTales and was it Tailspin?
Basically anything from Disney
Yeah.
Afternoon or Adult Swim.
Yes. So basically, no Looney Tunes, no Mickey, no all that, none of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that makes it exceptionally harder considering their original route. They were going to go really classic.
Yeah, with this team, I want to just kind of quickly highlight the players and then quickly highlight the projects themselves. So like I said, Trevor A, he is definitely like one of the bigger wild cards of the cast, but as of now, he's exceeded my expectations for how active he is and how he's trying really hard to put his personal stamp on the projects. And I'm really excited to see Trevor go from there. I think this might be the best incarnation of Trevor we've seen play the game so far.
Absolutely.
Basket Buddy continues to step it up. I don't necessarily think Basket Buddy's the strongest when it comes to the brainstorming. He likes to just kind of take a concept, work on it, and then plug it in. But you know what? The DuckTales Money Bin Breakout, which I actually will screen share. That's the one thing I will screen share.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's so good. And then you have Jokers, who's, for the time being, I'm still convinced that midway through the season, he's just going to drop. But, who knows? He could surprise me. And for the time being, I think Adventure Blue Dude, a.k.a. Jokers, is really, really definitely got a firm grasp as one of the anchors of this team, one of the guys that's really pulling them forward.
I'd say the same of Basket Buddy even. I believe that.
Well, like I said, Basket Buddy's more kind of like his contributions are anchors, but I definitely think in terms of the actual brainstorming, it's Joker who's really on the front lines a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm. And I agree. Like the first couple of days of brainstorming, it was just Jokers and Basket Buddy and Mickey Fan, I believe.
Yeah.
But as it's going along and into Project 2, everyone's kind of gathering together.
Yeah, and honestly, I think despite the slow start, I do think Team Mist is probably the team to look out for just in terms of they've got an incredibly strong core group and they know how to work together. And honestly, maybe that's just partly because of the whole fans versus favorites thing.
The whole all-star dynamic, exactly.
Yeah, it could very well be that. But
which makes our nomination for their team all the harder.
God, yes.
Anyways, in regards to their project, Snoopy, of course. Well, we got to talk about Snoopy.
Snoopy, there's not much to say. It's just like he's just always a really he's playing the same game he was playing in season 10. He's like season 10 prime Snoopy. He's like Snoopy in his prime. He's a friendly guy. He's doing everything he can to be helpful, and his signature move is these kick-ass C-ticket experiences.
Oh yeah, easily.
Okay, so let's just go through this project list really quick bullet points, okay? Because we still have to announce the nominations.
Oh yeah, we'll write out the nominations as well.
Oh yeah, Space Ghost Toast to Toast. I love this. It's just such a simple concept, but the backstory and the detail, and even the way that Joker's writes about it with such nostalgia and such world weariness. I'm just like, oh my god.
Adventure Through Inner Morty was another good one, by the way.
Adventure Through Inner Morty is brilliant. Yes, I think I'd give the upper hand to the Von Drake Labs, just because, like I said, Von Drake Labs it was kind of like the spirit of all of that era, as opposed to Inner Morty, which is just like a parody of One Ride, but still a very solid contribution. Venture Compound Tours. I'm not a Venture Brothers fan, so I was kind of at least sympathetic to the fact that this guy is writing it. He has no idea what he's writing, so I'm like, yeah, it's not that strong, but I wouldn't be that strong with it either.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's click.
Focus on the highlight.
Money Bin Breakout.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Is it just me, or has his artwork gotten better?
Oh, it's definitely gotten better.
And he actually drew a Haunted Mansion for my ongoing Dream Resort project. I've yet to release the concept art because I'm just so behind with everything in that. But between this and that, oh my god.
I mean, the Fast Pass area alone is just like one of the most jaw-dropping pieces of concept art I've ever seen.
It looks real.
It does. It really does.
It's stunning.
And the ride itself is really good too, and it flows together really well. And
Yeah.
I think they took a bit of a risk by not including like a ton of different IPs or anything like that, but I think the risk paid off because it resulted in an attraction that was very fluent, and it was very it was tied together very well. Everything made sense.
It's the best DuckTales attraction I've seen.
Easily. Like, this is the gold standard for DuckTales attractions.
Mm-hmm.
Just look at the detail on like each and every one of those coins.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm grateful to have Buddy in the season.
Mm-hmm. It all looks so good. It all looks so good, folks.
This is just making me more hyped for Project 3.
Yep.
Yeah. The vehicle.
It's perfect.
It's almost, again, it looks real.
Yeah.
I mean, like this, you could tell it's animated. Don't get me wrong, but it looks real. Like
it looks incredibly practical. Like if this ever happened, this is exactly what the ride vehicle would look like.
With the little Scrooge insignia.
Mm-hmm.
It's, oh man, sorry, a geek moment.
That's okay. It's okay.
All right.
Yeah, not much. Like I said, it's all confined to actual DuckTales stuff, and I think that works for this.
Exactly. And not only that, it's just like I said, it's a strong project. That if that wasn't a part of the project, there would have been something missing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And then we want to talk about Snoopy's flat rides.
Oh my god! So Homestar Runner's Waterama, just a very solid, simple contribution that once again, he does a great job of like building up the lore and building up the atmosphere of these flat rides to a ridiculous detail, to the point where they become pivotal parts of the overall experience of the land. Which is how a good flat ride should be. I think a good flat ride should enhance the land and not just feel like a plopped in carnival ride. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And with both of these, they do it really well. I think I personally prefer the Wallace and Gromit attraction.
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
It takes, like, it's basically like Flight to the Moon, but a little bit more updated and with Wallace and Gromit, which is, it makes so much sense with the context of Wallace and Gromit and their characters, and, you know, like,
it's
Wallace
so good.
Being an eccentric inventor and everything like that. You know what I mean?
It just works so well. I wish somebody would actually do it.
And of course, the regular show crossover at the end was great.
Well, yes, absolutely. The regular show is always great.
Garrett, I need to catch up.
You need to. That show is right up your alley.
I mean, I think I've seen like most of season. I think I've seen all of season 1, maybe a little bit of season 2, but that's about it, man. There's a lot of that show I haven't seen. Yeah,
it's the Christmas episode alone with Ninja Santa Claus or something like that. I don't know. It's just, but the Wallace and Gromit attraction, yes.
And then Homestar Runner is something that Stoopy and I, like, we date back way, way, way back in, like, you know, like, God, like 2004, we would talk about Homestar Runner and quote Homestar Runner. So, yeah.
Awesome.
That was a nice tribute. And then finally, Powerpuff Girls Save the Day. Like, description-wise, I don't think it was the strongest. But having said that, I just, you know, I always appreciate seeing Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 being implemented here. So that was nice. That was a good kind of bonus.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, The Forest, which is interesting. Gravity Falls was R. Michael's contribution, and it was a very good contribution.
I was interested to see why. Did they explain why Bob's Burgers was in the forest?
Well, eventually, it was going to be that he had a food truck in the forest.
Oh.
And I really wish they would have kept that idea. I actually mentioned that in my review. Like, because I really love the idea of a Bob Burgers food truck. It kind of, you know, it kind of builds upon the quote-unquote lore of Bob's Burgers, which sounds ridiculous. You know, it's like, oh, the family has a food truck now. Oh, my God, game changer. But you know what I mean. It builds upon
Yeah.
it. It builds upon the story a little bit.
Exactly. That poor restaurant has closed way too many times.
Right. But yeah. Okay, so Garrett, like I realize like we're like basically at your deadline, so we have to do the unpleasant thing right now.
That was my groan.
Oh God.
If you heard it. I don't know if you heard it.
Okay, folks, so let's just address we totally acknowledge that Project 2 is tough. We made it that way. It's usually a pattern in this game to have an accessible and large scale first project followed by a less large scale and more challenging second project.
And this one doesn't really have an IP attached.
No, right. I mean, you could attach an IP if you wanted.
It's just a weird idea.
So
I think that's what the struggle is.
So with that in mind, I commend everyone for at least trying to work through it, and at least, you know, and I am seeing a lot of good ideas come out of it, and I do have faith that the finished products are going to be really good, even though a lot of people are kind of struggling for the time being.
Yes.
But I hate to do it, man.
What nomination?
Yeah.
Again, this isn't anything personal. It isn't. Kudos to the team leaders in the past.
Right.
All right. Well,
and keep in mind, if you're nominated, we reserve the right to change who we eliminate based on the performance you give before the project gets handed in and how much you actually contribute to the finished product.
All right. So for Team Mist, our nominee is Disney Rules.
What? What do you mean? Oh no!
I'm not even playing in this game. Don't yell at me. No.
To be honest, wait, where did the little sheet go?
It's our nomination. I don't think we have it on the sheet, but
Oh.
I have it all in my head. Our nomination for Team Mist, unfortunately, is once again Disney Man 1. And I understand that he's in college and everything, and that's a struggle, and I totally get that. But it just comes down to, like, you know, when you and I look at the thread, we see him the least. We see him pop up like maybe here and there, but like someone like Mickey Fan, who might not always give the most substantial ideas, is at least constantly there, like approving ideas and giving thumbs up on ideas.
Yeah.
And so it's tough, man. It's tough, but we're definitely going to have to nominate Disney Man. And of course, if Disney Man wants to, he can use his diamond power of MVP to pull himself off the block. He did that and then retracted it last project. And I'm glad he did. I'm glad he did do that, because it would have sucked to.
It would have been a waste.
Yeah. But, you know, it is an option for him to use a diamond PO MVP. Okay, for Team Younger, man, this sucks to do, but at this point, I kind of have to nominate MC Paradox, and I hate doing that because he's such a nice guy. But my problem with MC Paradox, from what I've seen in both projects, really, is that he just kind of comes in at the start, says he's going to do a map, does the map, contributes to the map. It's a good map, but he's virtually MIA from the actual brainstorming process, which is where most of the heavy lifting gets done.
Yeah, and I agree on that aspect, even though the maps are great. But so, it's like it's not enough, if that makes sense.
So what I want to see from MC Paradox is I really want to see him step out and like actually design a flat ride for this, because you have 5 to do if you want to get all the extra credit. So he has room to work with to improve his standing here. And again, I hate to do it because, you know, like, this is an art guy, and it's like I said, Tiki's choice. It's so difficult.
I agree. I would say more, but I don't have anything else to say.
Okay, finally for Team Cap, we're gonna have to nominate Angels and Disney's in this situation. You know, Cranium did have a rough start. He didn't really like the project, but I will give Cranium credit that, you know, after the team kind of rallied behind him, he has genuinely been a lot more laid back and a lot more willing to work on the prompt. Whereas Angels, from what I've seen of Angels, he's just very confused about the prompt and kind of flopping around, and I don't know if he'll end up getting a solid contribution in. So that's why it's there. And Garrett, I can hear that you have business to take care of. So I will.
It's in the other room, but I agree with your points.
Okay. Do you want to just sign off though, and I can end this because I don't want to keep you.
No, you're good. But I agree with all your points. But yeah, I'm excited for the rest of the season.
I am as well, folks. And you guys might be noticing that we're using a different YouTube channel for this because, yay, the So You Want to Be an Imagineer channel got a copyright strike against it because of Everyone Loves Raymond.
Of all the television shows,
of all the shows, right?
Yeah.
And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be recording these podcasts on the Tyler Linder channel. That's my personal channel. Now you all know my name, so feel free to look me up on Facebook and everything. I don't care. I got nothing to hide. Anyways,
it's a different name on Facebook.
Well, yeah, it is a different name on Facebook. That's true. But
nonetheless,
it wouldn't be that hard to find me on Facebook, though, if you did the math.
Exactly.
Let's just say that. But
exactly.
Anyways. Folks. And Cranium, my God, like me and Mew had like a powwow about how to, because we acknowledge that we didn't handle Cranium as well as we could have, and we want Cranium to continue to do well in this game and continue to thrive. So
I agree.
I hope that the points we made, really kind of inspired Cranium to be his best self going forward, because I really think he's got a lot of potential.
And like I said, like it's anyone's game at this point.
It's so anyone's game. It's crazy.
But,
I mean, someone could like go on a trip, and that power player is suddenly the one who's eliminated. You know what I mean?
What's that?
I'm saying like something could happen in someone's life, like where they can't come on for a couple days, and then that could result in
elimination.
Yeah, it's like
that. But I have a really positive feeling about it. I'm sorry the end of this podcast got kind of rushed, but
no, it's all good. I'm actually kind of rushed too. So.
Oh well, there you go.
Yeah.
But are you going to announce eliminations via post right now?
Yes, I will as soon as I can.
Alrighty. Well, I guess this is my time to tune out. Good luck to the contestants of Project 2. I look forward to grading those tomorrow, and I look forward to hosting Project 3. I have to tell you guys, I'm so excited about Project 3.
Yeah, I know you are.
I know. I might post a teaser myself.
Go ahead.
We'll see. Tiki's not as excited about it.
I'm excited about certain elements of it.
Certain elements of it.
Yeah.
But one prompt in particular is near and dear to my heart.
All right.
But alrighty. Signing out.
All right. See you guys.